Welcome everyone to Allen Overseas Physics NEET 2024 Solutions. I'm Vaishali Sarvaiya and I'm here to help you with the solutions for each and every question which was asked in Physics NEET 2024. Let's check the first question. This question belongs to circular motion. Direct question, it says that a particle is moving in a horizontal circle connected above is connected by a string and it's moving with a constant speed omega. Now, it says that if the speed becomes 2 omega, what would be the tension in the string? In this case, you understand that the tension in this string provides a necessary centripetal force. Since the tension provides necessary centripetal force, we know T would be equal to mr omega square. It clearly mentions that the radius remains constant. If the radius is constant, T is directly proportional to omega square. Since omega is doubled, T will become 4 times. So that's how the solution for this will be. Next question again is conceptual question from circular motion. It says that a particle is moving with uniform speed. So it's moving with uniform speed, so omega is constant. It's a UCM. In a circular path, what will be maintained? So when omega is constant, speed, magnitude of velocity will remain constant. But what will happen to the velocity? Velocity is a vector quantity. Since velocity is a vector quantity, at every instant, the direction of velocity keeps changing. So we know, although speed is constant, velocity would be varying. Similarly, since it's UCM, only acceleration is centripetal acceleration, which would be directed towards the center at any instant, and that's why even the direction of the centripetal acceleration changes. So from the option varying velocity, varying acceleration would be your answer. Here there is a logic gate, the table is given and we have to identify the equation for this logic gate. Very simple question from logic gate. It says, if you look at this table very clearly, you will be able to see that y is nothing but a complementary of b. And this is your answer for it. Now, next question is from induced EMF. Let's see, there is a magnet which is in motion and there are two solenoids. Now, we have to find out the direction of induced EMF in the two solenoids. Let's see how do we approach it. The concept on which it is based is Lenz's law. What does Lenz's law say? Lenz's law says that the direction of induced EMF is such that it opposes the cause which is producing it. The direction of induced EMF is such that it opposes the cause which is producing it. Now, what's the cause in this question? The cause is motion of the magnet. Now, we'll have to look at the question one by one. If I look at the solenoid A, solenoid 1 first, the magnet is moving away from it. If the magnet is moving away from it, what will the magnet try to, what will the induced current in the solenoid 1 try to do? It will try to oppose it. Oppose it means it's going to attract it. Now for attraction, this end should behave as a south pole and this end should behave as a north pole. So this is south pole and this is north pole. Similarly, this end will behave as a north pole. Now, important point to take care here is if I have a coil and the current induced is in anti-clockwise direction, that's when it behaves as a north pole. And when the coil current is in clockwise direction, the current is in clockwise direction, that's when it behaves as a south pole. So when it is anti-clockwise, we know it's going to be north, and when it is clockwise, we know it's going to be south. So with this logic, I can easily find out the direction of current. Now, suppose you're looking from here. This is north pole. So if this is north pole, it's going to allow the current to flow in anti-clockwise direction, which means the current is going to flow like this, in this direction. That means the current starts from N and moves towards A. So I've got the first solenoid current induced as AB. That means these two options are incorrect. Now I have to work with 1 and 3. For this solenoid, south pole is moving towards the solenoid. So induced current is trying to oppose it. So when it is trying to oppose it, it's going to repel it because it's moving towards it. So to repel it, this has to act as south. this has to act as south. So this south and this south are going to repel. Now, this is south, this is north. Now, as an observer observing from this end of the solenoid, you see it's north. North is anti-clockwise. So if it is anti-clockwise, D, it will start from D, flow in this direction. Okay. So it's going to flow in this direction. This is your anti-clockwise. That means it's going to start from D and move towards C. The answer has to be D, C. I hope this is clear. Let's go ahead. Next question is from the topic magnetic material. Diamagnetic material, when we look at diamagnetic material, what would be its susceptibility? Susceptibility for a diamagnetic material. Since diamagnetic material weakly repel, the susceptibility, if it is repelling, should be negative. Since it's weak, susceptibility has to be very small. So we know susceptibility of diamagnetic material is negative and it's going to be very small. That means 1, 2. 1 from list A corresponds to 2. So 1, 2, 1, 2. That means I'm cancelling out this, I'm cancelling out this. Now, next, ferromagnetic material, we know they strongly attract. Since they strongly attract, what we are going to have is susceptibility would be positive and it's going to be very large because it strongly attracts it. So we know B is 3. B is 3. So this option is my correct option. Now, next is given in a uniform magnetic field of 0.049. So magnetic induction is given. Performs 20 complete oscillations in 5 seconds. Now, since it is performing 20 oscillations in 5 seconds, can I find out what would be its time period? Its time period would be, what is time period? How do we define time period? Time period is the time taken to complete one oscillation. 20 oscillations in 5 seconds. So, in one oscillation would be complete in how many seconds? Can I write it as 5 by 20 seconds? I'll repeat once again. The question says it completes 20 oscillations in 5 seconds. We have to find out the time taken to complete one oscillation. We need to find out the time taken to complete one oscillation. Okay, so 5 by 20. Moment of inertia given to us, I is given to us. Magnetic moment we have to find. Now, what logic are we going to use here? We know torque acting on a magnet placed in an external magnetic field is given by the formula minus mb sin theta. Now, we know torque is also I alpha. So, if I write this I alpha is equal to minus mb sin theta. Next, I am going to find out angular acceleration minus mb by I, which is moment of inertia sin theta. What if I say that the oscillation is very small? So in such cases, the oscillation of bar magnet is going to be very small. As in theta is going to be very small. If theta is very small, sin theta can be written approximately equal to theta. Alpha will be equal to minus mb upon I theta. So if I compare it to the condition of angular SHM, alpha is minus omega square theta. Alpha is minus omega square theta. So from here I'll understand that omega is equal to root of mb by I. Root of mb by I. So time period is 2 pi by omega, making the formula 2 pi root of I by mb. Once we have got this formula, or if you directly know this formula, you can square it, get the formula for m. M comes to, when you square it, what can you write? M, squaring it, t square, I'm going to write this as 4 pi square I by bt square. So by substituting this value here, you will end up getting 120, you get something like this. You have to just substitute the value of I, substitute the value of t, substitute the value of b, whatever the value is given, you will end up getting something like this, pi square into 10 raised to minus 3, which you will now write it in this form, 10 raised to minus 5, 8, 0 pi square into 10 raised to minus 5. And that's how your answer is 1280 pi square. Moving ahead, next question. In a vernier caliper, so we have a question from instrument. It says in a vernier caliper, we have n plus 1 divisions of vernier scale coincides with n divisions of main scale reading. If 1 MSD represents 0.1 mm, the vernier constant is. Now, vernier constant is nothing but our least count. You have to focus on this point. It is asking you in centimeters. So, as soon as you see the centimeter, what you need to do is convert this into centimeter, which I can write it as 0.01 centimeter. Now, once I have this, I'm going to next write down least count formula, which is our vernier constant. Least count is equal to 1 MSD minus 1 VSD. So 1 MSD, I'm going to write it as it is. From this given equation, I'm going to write 1 VSD in terms of MSD, which is going to be N upon N plus 1 MSD. Taking MSD common, I'll get something like this. So N plus 1 minus N. N plus 1 minus N, 1 upon N plus 1 MSD. Okay, substituting MSD 0.01, can I write it as 1 upon 100 because that's what I can see in my options. So 1 upon 100 N plus 1. That's my answer for this question. I hope it makes sense. What I have done in the last step, I'll repeat. MSD, 1 MSD is 0.01 centimeters. I can write it as 1 upon 100 centimeters. So my least count of this instrument is 1 by 100 N plus 1 centimeters. Moving ahead, next, a very simple question. It says there is an horizontal force of 10 Newton acting on two blocks, 2 kg and 3 kg respectively. There is no friction. Very important to read. There is no friction in the given question. They are asking us to find what is the force exerted by the block A on B. Even if the question says find out the force exerted by block B on A, it is going to end up with the same answer. What we'll do here is, I'm going to show you a technique where you can directly find out acceleration of the system. So acceleration of the system is equal to net force upon total mass. Net force upon total mass. So I can see net force acting on the system is 10 Newton, total mass is 5. So acceleration is going to be 2 meter per second square. Now after this, I'll draw FBD only for block B. So block B, if I draw the FBD, only force which is moving is the reaction of A on B, and the acceleration of this is 2. Mass given is 3 kg. So from here I'll clearly get RAB is going to be 3 into 2, making it 6 Newton. The answer here is 6 Newton. Next, the questions given is x is equal to 5 sine pi t plus pi by 3 meter, which is a representation of a particle performing SHM, amplitude and time period. So very simple, what you have to just do here is compare the given equation with equation of SHM. So when you compare it, you get A as 5 meter, pay attention to the unit, and omega as pi. We know we have to find time period, so this can be written as 2 pi by t is equal to pi. From here I'll get t is equal to 2 seconds. So my answer is 5 meter and 2 seconds. 5 meter and 2 seconds. Next question from current electricity. As you can see, there were a lot of questions asked from grade 12th. 60% of the questions are from grade 12th and around 40% questions are from grade 11th. Let's see, very simple question. There is EMF, internal resistance, external resistance 4 ohm. They are asking what is the terminal potential difference. Now to find terminal potential difference, first step I can find current in the circuit, which is E upon R plus R. 10 upon 4 plus 1, making it 2 ampere. Now that I know current in the circuit, I can find external potential difference using the formula IR. So external potential difference is nothing but I into R. I we got it 2 ampere and R is 4, making this as 8 volt. Next question. It's statement and we have to find out which statement is correct, which statement is incorrect. So statement 1, atoms are electrically neutral as they contain equal number of positives and negative charges, which is absolutely true. So this is a basic statement, everyone is aware of it. Atoms of each element are stable and emit their characteristic spectra. Now, atoms of each element, we cannot say that every single atom is stable. So this statement here that atoms of each element stable is not correct. So the answer is going to be statement 1 is correct, but statement 2 is incorrect. If you have new NCERT textbook, in the new NCERT textbook from the chapter Atoms, Molecules, Nuclei, you will see that there is a statement, a direct statement where they have given that atoms of each element, may be stable. Are stable is not given, it's given may be stable. So that tells us that it's not necessary that all the elements of, all the atoms of all the elements are stable. Next, see the velocity of light given in the question, correct statement upon photon. So let's just look into the statements, which statements are correct. Energy of photon is given by h nu, absolutely correct. The velocity of photon is given as c, which is absolutely correct. Now, for those students who do not know what photon is a packet of energy, which that's how the light propagation takes place. Photons are nothing but packets of energy. So they do not have mass, they do not have matter content in it. They are just packets of energy. The momentum of photon is given by h mu by c, which is again correct. In photoelectric collision, both total energy and total momentum are conserved. Again, correct statement. Photon possess positive charge. No. Photons do not possess positive charge. Photons are packets of energy. As I said, photons do not have any mass. Okay? Matter content is not there for photons. So if they do not have any mass, they cannot have any charge on it. Protons are positive charge, but photons do not have any charge. So this statement is incorrect. That means A, B, C, D are the only correct statements here. Now match the column. Hydrogen spectrum line is given. Now very important. See, when you look at this question, the first thing that comes to your mind would be, are we supposed to remember the wavelength of each emission which is taking place in hydrogen spectrum? The answer is no, you were not expected to remember. So there is a logical way of solving this question. What is the logical way? Let's look at the bottom level. All of them, all jumping takes place from a higher energy orbit to second orbit. Okay, so that means the wavelengths emitted are corresponding to Balmer series. Now, what if once I draw the levels, n is equal to 2, n is equal to 3, n is equal to 4, n is equal to 5, and n is equal to 6. What do you see? What happens? Electron jumping from here to here, then 4 to 2, then 5 to 2, and 6 to 2. So if you see in this jumping, the energy difference goes on increasing. 3 to 2 has less energy difference, 4 to 2 has greater energy difference, 5 and so on. So if energy increases, energy is equal to the photon which is given out, hc by lambda. So as energy increases, what happens to wavelength? It will decrease. Okay? So you just have to arrange the wavelengths in a proper order to get this. So from this, what do you understand? As energy increases, wavelength decreases. That means 6 to 2. Energy difference is highest, so wavelength would be lowest. Which is the lowest wavelength you can see here? 6 to 2 will correspond to lowest wavelength. So we have D1. How many options do you have for D1? That's how you get your answer. Does this make sense to everyone? Great. Let's go ahead. Here in this question, what is given? There is a tightly wound coil which has 100 turns, radius is given as 10 centimeters. So first step, I'm going to convert this 10 centimeters into meters, which is 10 raised to minus 1 meter. There is a current of 7 ampere. They are asking us to find how much would be magnetic induction at the center. So you have a coil carrying current, and at the center you have to find magnetic induction. The formula for magnetic induction at the center is B is equal to mu naught Ni upon 2R. Very simple formula, direct formula. B is equal to mu naught Ni upon 2R. Just substituting all the values, you will get the answer as 4.4 millitesla. Everyone should be able to get it till here. Next, second question from logic gate. Here the diagram is given. There are 3 gates which you can see here, and the question is find out this logic gate has an output which is similar to which output. So to understand that, let's see which gate. Let's first identify the gates. Which gate is this? This is a NAND gate. This is a NOR gate. Again a NOR gate. Now this NAND gate is short circuited. That means what is this going to behave as? This is going to behave as a NOT gate. Since it is behaving as a NOT gate, I can write this as A complementary. Similarly, a shorted NOR gate behaves as a NOT gate. NOR gate is behaving as a NOT gate. That means B is going to be B complementary. Okay, now coming to here, what would be my equation? My equation is NOR gate, it's A complementary plus B complementary, complement of. What I am writing, I am just writing equation for this particular gate. What is the 2 inputs? A complementary, B complementary, and we have a NOR gate here. NOR gate is complementary of plus. Y will be equal to A complementary, B complementary plus sign, which indicates OR, and this complementary is NOR of, not of OR. So now De Broglie's principle, De Morgan's principle, what do you get here? A complementary dot B complementary, which is same as A dot B. So using this, I end up getting AND gate. So the given logic gates, which have 3 logic gates, behaves as an AND gate. Now, it says there is a wire of length L. Very good question. Simple. It was just lengthy to read the entire thing. There is a wire whose entire length is given as 100. Length is 10 centimeter and resistance is 100 ohm. It is divided into, length is given as L and it is divided into 10 equal parts. Now we know resistance of a wire is equal to rho L upon A. Resistance is directly proportional to length. So if resistance is directly proportional to length and I divide it in 10 equal parts, each part is going to have a resistance of 10 ohm. So now how will the circuit look like? I have 10 resistance, each of resistance 10 ohm. It says that there are 5 of them are connected in series. So if 5 of them are connected in series, this is how the diagram should look like. All of them 10 ohm. So I can write R, R, all of them are R, and value of R is 10 ohm. So 5 of them in series, and this is then connected into 5 other resistors. Which are connected in parallel. So we know when they are connected in parallel, the equivalent resistance here is going to be R by 5. R is 10, so 10 by 5 is going to make it 2 ohm. And here, since they are in series, the formula is going to be 5R, making it 50. Now these two are in series, they are connected next to each other, that means they are in series. So my equivalent resistance is going to be 50 plus 2, making it 52 ohm. Okay, so let's see. Yes, it's 52 ohms. Moving ahead. Now there is a question of radioactivity here. What does it say? There is an element with atomic mass number 290 and atomic number 82. An alpha particle is emitted from it. So when alpha particle is emitted, we know that atomic mass number increases from wherever the alpha particle is emitted. Since alpha particle has atomic mass number 4 and atomic number 2, A decreases by 4 and Z decreases by 2. So applying this condition here, I'm going to get, see, we have X 290 and 82. Since alpha particle has atomic mass number 4 and 2, Y which you will get would be 286 and 80. Now from here, a electron, positive electron is emitted, which gives us Z. So because electron does not have any mass, this is going to remain as it is, and this is going to decrease by 179. Now beta particle, beta negative, similar to electron, it's going to give me P. So again, beta, since it's very similar to an electron, 286, atomic mass number is going to remain same, but since this is negative charge here, instead of decreasing atomic number increases and it becomes 80. From here, electron emitted from the nucleus. See, these emissions are taking place from the nucleus. This is going to be 286 and this will increase by 1, making it 81. So the answer is 286 and 81. Next question says maximum elongation of a wire of length 1 meter, elastic limit. Now what is elastic limit is stress. So stress is given as, maximum stress in the wire is given as 8 into 10 raised to 8 Newton per meter square. Young's modulus is given as 2 into 10 raised to 11 Newton per meter square. And what are we supposed to find? We are supposed to find what is the maximum elongation. Formula is Y is equal to stress upon strain. Strain can be written as delta L upon L. So from here you will get the formula delta L, elongation, is equal to length into stress upon Y. So by just substituting the value, stress 8 into 10 raised to 8 upon 2 into 10 raised to 11, making it 4 into 10 raised to minus 3. So answer is 4. Okay. Next, monochromatic source in Young's double slit experiment is replaced by white light. So in a monochromatic, when in Young's double slit experiment, monochromatic light is replaced by white light, what will happen? Now we know beta bandwidth is equal to lambda capital D upon small d. What we are doing here is, there is a screen and the two slits here. Usually the two slits are monochromatic light. Now instead of monochromatic light, when I use white light is made up of 7 colors. So what will happen on the screen is you will get 7 different patterns merged together. Since 7 different patterns are merged together, there would be one point where the path difference for all the 7 wavelengths is going to be same. So at the center you are going to get white. Okay? Followed by the color whose wavelength is smallest. So it will be followed by Vibgyor in that order on both the sides. Okay. Now if you look at the options, interference pattern will disappear, no. There would be central dark fringe surrounded, no. There would be center bright white fringe surrounded by a few colored fringes, which is correct. Okay, so center, why is there a white light at the center? Because for all the 7 colors, the path difference would be 0 for that same point. And all the 7 colors overlap at that point, making that point visible as white light. At any instant, next question, this question is from kinematics, work power energy, yes. So the question is, displacement is given as 2t minus 1. And they are asking us the formula for value for instantaneous power. Instantaneous power is Fv cos theta, or I can say F dot V. From this, I'll get V as dx by dt. So dx by dt here comes to 2. And force is given as 5 Newton. So if force is 5 Newton, how much will power be? 10. Next question. They are saying they are given two statements. Let's see the first statement. A solar cell IV characteristics lies in the fourth quadrant, which is absolutely correct. This is how the IV characteristic of solar cell looks like. So this statement is correct. Next, in reverse bias PN junction diode, the current is in microampere, correct, absolutely correct. Reverse bias, the current flowing is very small, which is in microamperes. So that part is correct. But it says that it is due to majority charge carriers, which is incorrect. Reverse bias, whatever the current flows, is not due to the majority charge carriers, but because of minority charge carriers. And that's the reason why this statement is incorrect. A is correct, but B is incorrect. Moving ahead, it says body A and B undergoes inelastic collision, completely inelastic collision. Body A has mass m, which is moving with velocity v1, whereas body B is at rest. And it says, since it is completely inelastic collision, we know that both the bodies stick together and move with a common velocity. So both the bodies stick together after collision and move with a common velocity. The common velocity is v2. That's what is given in the question. So just apply conservation of momentum here. What will you get? mv1 plus 0 will be equal to 2mv2. So we have to find v1 is to v2. From here, v1 upon v2 will be equal to 2 is to 1. That is our answer. Okay, so coming to the next question, it says there is a prism, right angle prism. The incident ray is given as 30 degree and the emergent ray is glazing the surface. That means this angle here can be written as critical angle. If this is critical angle, this becomes 90 minus critical angle. This is 90, this is 90 minus critical angle. This becomes critical angle. That means this is going to be 90 minus critical angle. So I'm going to note it here, 90 minus critical angle. Now, using the formula, mu is equal to sine I upon sine R. Sine 30 upon sine 90 minus IC. I can write this as sine 30 upon cos IC. Now I have two unknowns in my equation, mu and IC. We will not be able to move ahead unless I have one more equation. So I'm going to write an equation for critical angle. Sin IC is equal to 1 by mu. So cos IC, I can write it as root of 1 minus sin square IC. What I'm doing here, I'm using trigonometrical formula, identity sin square theta plus cos square theta is 1. So using that, I'll get 1 minus 1 by mu square. So mu square minus 1 square root upon mu. Now that I have the value of cos IC, I'll substitute it here. Mu is sin 30, 1 by 2 root of mu square minus 1 upon mu. So this becomes mu. So this gets cancelled. We will get root of mu square minus 1 is equal to 1 by 2. Squaring on both the sides, mu square minus 1 is equal to 1 by 4, which will get it as mu square 5 by 4. Taking a square root, we'll get root 5 by 2. So that's the answer. Simple. You just have to use Snell's law and critical angle formula. So two formulas, substitute it, you get your answer. Next, a graph which shows variation of 1 by lambda square and its kinetic energy, de Broglie's wavelength. Let's see kinetic energy. I have formula half mv squared. But since de Broglie's wavelength is given, we want the formula in terms of momentum. I'm going to get this as half p square upon m. So now I have in terms of momentum. From de Broglie's formula, momentum can be written as h by lambda. That's how I'm going to get the relation between kinetic energy and lambda. So kinetic energy is half h square upon m lambda square. Now if you see, we have kinetic energy which is given as E. This entire section can be considered as a constant, any constant, and then we have 1 by lambda square. So now 1 by lambda square, this is on my y-axis and this is on my x-axis. So I can write this as E by K, or see, basically this is a constant. So I can rewrite it as y is equal to constant into x, which is nothing but an equation of a straight line. Since I get an equation of a straight line from all these curves, this is what is plotted. First step, you will first get a relation of kinetic energy and lambda square. From that, you will rearrange it and check which of the graphs does the equation match with. I'm getting here, it's y is equal to mx, which is equation of a straight line passing through origin. That's why option 4. Quantities which have same dimension as that of solid angle. Now solid angle has a unit steradian, but it is dimensionless quantity. Since it is dimensionless quantity, we have to check which others are dimensionless quantity. Very simple, angle has unit radian, but it's a dimensionless quantity. Strain is also a dimensionless quantity, change in length upon original length, which tells us this is our answer. Unpolarized beam of light is incident on glass surface at Brewster's angle. So for this, let's see a diagram here. Say this is a glass slab and light is incident on it at an angle of Brewster's angle. What is going to happen? Both reflection and refraction takes place. This is unpolarized beam of light which is incident. So when unpolarized beam of light is incident, reflected ray and refracted ray, both you can draw the diagram, but out of this the reflected ray is completely plane polarized, whereas refracted ray is partially plane polarized. So this is a diagram which you might have commonly seen. Reflected ray is completely polarized, whereas refracted ray is partially polarized. This angle would be theta. So this option out of all is correct. Reflected light will be completely polarized, but the refracted light would be partially polarized. Now in this question, moment of inertia is given for a rod passing through the center, 2400 gram per centimeter square. Length find करना है, what would be the length, and mass is given as 400 gram. Very simple. What is moment of inertia for a rod for an axis passing through the center? It's given by the formula moment of inertia is equal to ml square by 12. Good thing they have given all the units in CGS system and the options are also in CGS system. Substitute m and I in your formula to get the value of L. You end up getting 8.5 centimeter. Next question given is a thin flat circular disc of radius 4.5 centimeter. 4.5 centimeter, so 4.5 into 10 raised to minus 2 meter. It's placed over the surface of water. Surface tension is given as 7 into 10 raised to minus 2 Newton per meter. Then the axis force required to take it away from the surface. Now what would be the force required to take it away from the surface? Let's understand the concept behind it. There is a disc. As you pull the disc up, there is a force acting on it. Now force acting on it will be equal to tension into its entire length. Length of all free surface are also included here. Since it's a circular disc, the length will be 2 pi r. Now substituting all the values of T and R in it, you will get the value of F as 19.8 millinewton. Next question, thermodynamic system is taken in a cycle A, B, C, D. A, work done. See, you have to read the question correctly here. The work done by the gas along the path BC. They are not asking us what is the work done in the entire cyclic process. That would be 0. But here they are asking BC. So, sorry, if they ask work done, it would have been area under the curve. But now they are asking us work done from B to C. Since they are asking work done from B to C, is there any change in volume? Since there is no change in volume, work done will be 0 in this case. If the question was to find the work done in the entire cyclic process, then your work done would be area under the cycle. But here in BC, only this process, since volume is constant, work done is 0. Question on rolling motion, they are giving two particles. Velocity, let me say velocity of center is VCM. So here, velocity at point P will be equal to VCM plus R omega, the velocity for circular path as well. Whereas here, it's going to be velocity of Q would be VCM minus R omega. So now if you check, the velocity of P is going to be more than velocity of point Q. So P moves faster than Q. Combination of capacitors from the diagram, very easily you can find out it's a Wheatstone's network and its balance condition of Wheatstone's network. So these 2 points are at same potential. Potential difference between these 2 points would be 0. That means we don't have to consider this capacitance. Now these two are in series combination for capacitance. Make sure that the answer becomes half if they are identical. So it makes it 1 microfarad. This will also be 1 microfarad. Now they are in parallel, so you will add it up such that your equivalent capacitance becomes 2 microfarad. Next, a thin spherical shell is charged by some source. Potential difference between 2 points C and P. So C is here, point P is here. What would be potential difference? Now, since it's a shell, the EMF inside it is going to be 0, right? If EMF is 0, potential at any point, at point C or at point P or any point inside, is going to be 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q by R, where R is the radius. So if R is the radius, okay, potential at both the points will be same. They are asking us find the potential difference. If potential at both the points is same, what would be potential difference? 0. Next, velocity versus time graph is given. We have to plot acceleration versus time graph. So I'll draw it here. Velocity versus time, it's given something like this. Okay. In this interval, slope is constant and positive. So when I plot velocity versus, acceleration versus time graph, from this end to this end, I'll get a positive but a constant value. Now in the second interval here, velocity is constant. That means acceleration is going to be 0. In this case, since velocity is decreasing, acceleration is constant. How do I say acceleration is constant? Because it's a straight line. So this would be a negative graph. From all the graphs, it's option 3 which matches correctly here. Next question is given. A 10 microfarad capacitor is connected to it is connected to an AC source 210 volt and 50 hertz. The peak value of current in the circuit is going to be. Now, how will you find the peak value? I can say peak value is equal to E naught upon XC. Now, E naught I can write it as ERMS. We know ERMS, since it's a cyclic this, ERMS can be considered as E0 upon root 2. So E0 is root 2 times ERMS upon XC is 1 by omega C. So this I can write it as 1 by omega C. This is I naught. Substitute the value 210 into root 2 into omega, which is 2 pi f, into C, which is given as 10 into 10 raised to minus 6. So in this Question. After substituting the values 210 into root 2 into 2.2 pi f would be 50 here. You will end up getting the answer as 0.93 ampere. Next question. A T versus V graph is plotted. Okay. So now what you can see is you just have to check the slope here. Whichever has greater slope. Now T upon V is directly proportional to P. So slope is directly proportional to P. The graph which has higher slope will have higher pressure. So slope for 1 is more than slope for 2, which is more than slope for 3. Therefore P1 has to be greater than P2, which would be greater than P3. Now the question here, gravitation question, it says the energy required to launch a satellite from the surface of Earth. So from the surface of Earth there is a satellite. You have to launch it in a circular orbit. Now radius, the distance from the height from the surface of Earth is given as 2 r. So from the center it's going to be 3 r. Now we know what would be work done. I can say work done is nothing but the difference in the energy. So now final energy is going to be minus g mm upon 2r plus h, or I can write small r. Now why are we using 2? Because it's already in the orbit. Whereas initially it was at rest. Because it was at rest, its initial energy, potential energy can be written as minus gmm upon r. So using this formula, this is minus of minus this. So using this formula, I'll end up getting gmm upon 6r plus gmm upon r. So gmm comes to common, you'll get the answer as 5 by 1 minus 1 by 6, which is 5 by 6. Option 1 here. Now, parallel plate capacitor is charged by connecting it to a battery through a resistor. If I is the current in the circuit, then what will happen? See, what are the points you should remember? The capacitor here is connected to a battery. So if capacitor is connected to the battery, it means that its potential difference. Battery is a constant source of potential difference. So potential difference is going to remain constant. Okay, potential difference is constant. What will happen here? There is definitely a displacement current. Now displacement current will flow in the circuit which will be in the same direction as that of I. So current I flows in the circuit. There would be a displacement current within the capacitor which will also have same magnitude and will flow in the same direction. So option 2 is your correct answer here. Now, which of the property is not a property of electromagnetic wave? So do electromagnetic wave have transverse nature? Yes. Energy density is equal to energy density in electric field and magnetic field is equal? Yes. C is equal to 1 upon root of mu square epsilon naught? Yes. They originate from a charge moving with uniform speed? No. They originate from a charge moving with a certain acceleration. Now, in this question, Young's modulus is given. Coefficient of linear thermal expansion is also given. Length is given. Area of cross section is given. And temperature difference is given. Let me write T theta, delta theta. We have to find what is the force due to compression. See, what is it saying basically? Let's understand the question. There is a rod which is fixed from both the ends and you are heating it. So when it's fixed from both the ends and you are heating it, what is going to happen? There is no expansion taking place, no compression taking place. But still there is going to be some force due to thermal stress produced in it. So they are asking us what would be that force which is produced in it. Now I can write Young's modulus is F upon A into strain. So F becomes AY delta L upon L. Now delta L upon L from thermal expansion, linear expansion, is alpha delta theta. So if I substitute this formula here, I'll get A y alpha delta theta. A y alpha delta theta. All the values are directly given to us. Just substitute the value and get the answer. You will get the answer as 50 into 10 raised to 3 Newton. Now in this, they have given us a bridge Wheatstone's network. Which of them is the correct relation, they're asking us. Now, how do we know whether it's correct or not? Just check 10 by 15 and 10 by 5. Is the resistance in itself in a correct balanced position? No. That means what we need to have is, you can see this diodes. The diode should have some resistance, some small resistance. Very clearly, it should have a resistance of 10 ohm. Now that 10 ohm resistance, will that be in forward bias? Will that be obtained in reverse bias? Forward bias, reverse bias, the resistance is way too high. So if the resistance is too high, then it will not be a balanced condition. We want it to be a balanced condition. So for that, we just have to check the diode whether it's forward or not. Check this end. This end is negative terminal, connected to the negative terminal of the cell. And it's also connected to the N side of PN junction. That means, yes, this is forward bias, which is our correct answer. Now, if you check here, this is reverse bias because this is negative, but this is P side which is connected. So, P side connected to negative is reverse bias. Again, if you see this is N side connected to positive. And this is in parallel, which is not going to work. So I hope this makes sense. Moving ahead, a sheet is placed on a horizontal surface in front of a strong magnetic pole. A force is needed to. Now, if there is a sheet and there is a magnet over it, when will you require a force? Obviously, if it's magnetic material, the sheet is magnetic, the magnet is going to attract it. So you'll need a force to oppose that, right? So you will need a force to hold it in a place if it's magnetic. You will not need it to hold it in place if it is non-magnetic. Now, what if the sheet is move the sheet away from the pole with a uniform speed if it is conducting. If it is conducting, what is going to happen is there is going to be an eddy current induced in it, which is going to oppose that motion. So we'll again need force to balance that opposing force due to eddy current, right? So even this is correct. So option A and C are correct. If it is non-conducting, then that force is not needed. Okay, next question. There is a capacitor, parallel plate capacitor connected to a battery. You can see this is a second question on capacitor. Third question, if you consider the capacitor in series parallel combination, which was Wheatstone's network, there is a capacitor which is connected to a battery. So if it is connected to a battery, potential difference is going to remain constant. Okay. And they are saying that the plates are moving ahead, moving away close to each other. Yes. So capacitance is equal to AK epsilon naught upon D. So if they are moving close to each other, D, small d, if they are moving close to each other, small d is decreasing. That means capacitance is going to increase. Yes, capacitance is going to increase. What about V? Since V is constant, C is equal to Q by V. V is constant, C is increasing, Q will also increase. Now what about energy? Energy is equal to half CV square, V is constant, C is increasing. C is increasing, so U is also going to increase. So charges stored in it increases, yes. Energy stored in it decreases, no. The ratio of charge to its potential remain constant, no. The product of charge into velocity, charge and potential increases. So charge and potential increases, yes. So A, C, E are correct. Next, two heaters A and B, power rating given. They are first connected in series, then in parallel. So we know when the power rating is given, Power in series would be equal to 1 upon P1 plus 1 upon P2, which would be 1 upon 1 plus 1 upon 2, making PS 2 by 3. Now for the parallel combination, the formula is powers in parallel would be equal to P1 plus P2, making it 3 kilowatt. We want the ratio of PS and PP, which is going to be 2 by 9, substituting it here. A small telescope focal length of objective given as 140 centimeter and that of eyepiece given as 5 centimeter. Magnifying power is given as f0 upon fe, 140 upon 5, 28. F is given and they are asking the factor which is dimensionless. Which of the options are dimensionless? Basically, that's what it's asking. So we'll find out dimension for alpha and beta. Alpha has a dimension f upon t square. Dimension of alpha would be f upon t square, which is equal to mlt minus 2 upon t2. So this makes it mlt minus 4. Similarly, beta would be f upon t. So mlt minus 3 would be its dimension. So you have to substitute and check where the dimension matches. I can see that alpha into t will make it beta, so dimension of this will be same as dimension of this, so option 2. See, alpha I can see is t minus 4 and into t will make t minus 3, which is dimension of beta. So both of them will have same dimension. Option 2 is correct. Okay, moving on to the next question. Assertion reasoning. The question here says potential at an axial point due to dipole. So we know dipole, axial point, the formula 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught p cos theta upon r square. So in this question, this is 9 into 10 raised to 9. P is given as 4 into 10 raised to minus 6 cos theta. Since it's an axial point, theta would be either 0 or 180, making cos theta 1, upon distance is 2 meter, making it as 4. So if I cancel this out, 9 into 10 raised to minus plus 3 volt, which is correct statement. The reason formula is not correct, instead of 2p, it's going to be p cos theta. That's the reason why reasoning is wrong. So assertion is true, but the reasoning given is wrong. So option 3 is the correct answer here. Ideal transformer, the turn ratio is given as 1 by 2 Vs by Vp. We know Es is equal to minus Ns d phi by dt. Similarly, Ep would be minus Np d phi by dt. So when you take ratio, Es upon Ep or Vs by Vp would be equal to Ns by Np, making it 2:1. Now, a horizontal force 10 Newton is applied. What is the force exerted between A and B? So can I say here net force is equal to net mass into acceleration. So acceleration is going to be net force upon total mass, making it 5 to. Now drawing FBD of block B 3 kg. When I draw this FBD, what are we going to get? The acceleration A is going to be 2 meter per second square. So the force acting on it would be 6 Newton. Mass of a planet is 1/3. So mass of a planet is given as 1/10 of mass of Earth. And diameter. So I can also say radius of the planet is half of that of radius of Earth. So radius of Earth by 2. Acceleration of gravity due to of that planet would be gm upon r square. So this is for the planet. If I see this is universal constant, I'll get the equation gp upon g for Earth would be equal to mass p upon mass of Earth into radius of Earth upon radius of planet. So this is 1/10. So this is 4 by 10 into 9.8. That's how you get the answer. You'll end up getting 3.92. Iron bar of length L has magnetic moment M. Bend in the middle its length such that 2 arms make 60 degree. Okay, so now the question says, this is how it is bent, such that this is L by 2, this is 60 degree. Now the two ends, what would be the distance between them? This, since this is L by 2, 60 degree, this 2 would be 60 degree, this length will also be L by 2. Now if I talk about the original one, before bending, the moment of magnetic moment was M. So magnetic moment was pole strength into length. Now the new magnetic moment, pole strength is not going to change, that's going to remain as it is. Length will become L by 2, making the dipole moment as M by. That's it. So I hope everyone had a wonderful paper. The paper was not very difficult. If you look at the difficulty level, if I just summarize how the paper, physics paper especially for NEET 2024 was, it was moderate but a bit lengthy. 60% of the questions were from grade 12th and 40% questions were from grade 11th. Now when I talk about difficulty level, 50% of the questions were very easy, 38% were moderate, and there were only 12% questions which were difficult, which can be termed as difficult. So I hope you all had put in your 100% for the exam and are happy with your score. We at Allen Overseas are going to help you with NEET counseling. Soon the results would be out. Once the results are out, the counseling session will begin. NEET counseling guidance would be given by Allen Overseas. So you can approach Allen Overseas for the guidance during the counseling session. Also, if you want to prepare yourself better or improve your score, we are soon going to start with a new batch for NEET 2025. So reach out to Allen Overseas and find out about the course available for NEET 2025. We'll help you to prepare better for your next examination. Thank you, everyone.